Right. Thank you, Chair Zimmer.
So good afternoon again, everyone. It's 1:31. We are calling to order the Technical Advisory Committee meeting of February 23rd. We will start as always with introductions, although not seeing, well, a couple new names here. I'm Larry Zimmer with the City of Healdsburg. With SCTA, RCPA, we have Drew. Sorry, names are shifting around on me. Dana, Shauna. No David today. And there is one more.
David is unable to join us. Chris Barney is with us too.
Oh, Chris, yes.
And
And Adam. Welcome, Adam. Rob Sprinkle from the City of Santa Rosa, Elizabeth Tyree from County Parks, Joanne Parker from the Great Train Smart, Ken Eichstad from Petaluma, Alexander, I'm not sure if you're a new face in this group, but welcome from the City of Santa Rosa. Nader from County TPW, Craig from Cotati, Oriana from City of Sonoma. We have Wade Monson from Town of Windsor. Welcome, Wade. James Cameron, SCTA, Janice Thompson, Sonoma County TPW, and Orlando Ramirez from Caltrans. And Steve Urbanek just checking in, also TPW. Anyone I miss? Seeing none, public comment, not seeing anyone from the public, but give it a second. No public comment. Item 3, Brown Act status and update. Is that you, Drew?
Yeah, it's going to be Ross and I. It's just more from the last month that next month we will be expecting all committee members to be physically in attendance at the SCTA office to meet the quorum for the meeting. Yeah, I think we covered it all last month. There hasn't been any new changes that I've been made aware of. Just let me know if you have any questions. And
Do you want to just give a just a quick refresh of the Brown Act? And
yeah, so I need to notice agendas for public meetings 72 hours in advance. And so if you let's see, I'm stumbling here, sorry. So if you want to participate remotely, I need to know at least a week in advance so I can notice it properly. If, say, for example, you want to do it in your city council chambers or your office, I need that physical address to make it a public venue, and the agenda needs to be posted, and then we can carry on remotely. But however, sorry.
Drew, I can jump in too and provide a little information if that'd be helpful.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, there are a few, going back to the Brown Act, there's a requirement that we do have committee members in person in the office to be able to take action on items. And so we'll need a quorum at the SCTA offices at 411 King Street to do that. There are a few remote participation options. One that Drew was outlining is the traditional Brown Act teleconferencing option. So in this case, Drew would need at least a week of notice that you'd be doing this, and it would require the actual address of where you'll be teleconferencing from, the agenda to be posted at that remote location, and then that location would also need to be open to the public as well, so for the public to provide public comment. So if you'd like to do this at your city offices remotely, that's the process. So please contact us if you have any questions about that. And then there are a few new options. So I believe we included kind of an outline of how those work in the agenda, but basically there are two shorter term teleconference options that you can take advantage of. there's a just cause and an emergency situation option. So you're able to do this twice a year. And in one case, it would be due to medical emergencies, and the TAC would need to take action to approve that. And the other just cause option could be due to childcare, caring for another member of the family, illness, or business travel. So in that case, you just need to let us know before the meeting that you'd be participating that way. But in both cases, there's a limit on the number of times you can do that per year. So it's 20% of meetings or 2 in the case of the TAC. So we'd be tracking that if you participate in those ways. And I think that's it. Did I miss anything, Drew or Ross?
I think you covered it. I guess, in the absence of those options, you may still attend as a member of the public, but you won't be counted towards the quorum and won't be able to take any action.
That's a good addition, Ross. So if for some reason someone has to teleconference in, they can still listen, participate, but they're not voting members in that case.
Correct.
And just to clarify, Chris, so in the 2 hardship exceptions allowed per year, you would not need to give your address and make it a public place in those cases?
That's correct.
I'll just add, if I could, under those last 2 options, the just cause and emergency, there's a requirement to keep your camera on during the meeting. So, if you actually are sick and you don't want to do that, that's something to take into consideration.
And there still does need to be a quorum in person for both of those options as well. So I missed that part too.
What's the number for our quorum?
7.
Or do you know off the top? Okay. That was 7.
7, I believe.
All right, well, thank you for that, everyone. Item number 4, approval of meeting minutes notes from January 26, 2023. Does anyone have any additions or corrections? Seeing none, that passes unanimously. Onward to item 5, SB 743, implementation of VMT. Update by Chris.
Yeah, thanks. And I know last month I mentioned we could probably take this off the agenda, but we've decided to actually prepare a grant application to develop a VMT mitigation program for Sonoma County through the Caltrans Sustainable Planning Grant Program. So they actually have a technical category that can focus on these sorts of activities. So the idea is to get some funding to get a consultant on board to help develop recommendations for a VMT banking fee or exchange program in Sonoma County. And basically the ways these would work is they'd allow VMT producing projects to either pay into a bank or get lined up with VMT reducing projects to help mitigate VMT impacts offsite. So as folks are implementing SB 743, it's become apparent that there is probably a pretty big need for something like this, either in Sonoma County or in the region. So yeah, just putting together something to try and get some resources to work on something for Sonoma County. So I've sent out a number of requests for letters of recommendation. So there should be, there's been contact made for each of your jurisdictions. I provided some additional information in the agenda packet as well. There's an executive summary from Cal Law that actually provides a pretty good overview of potential programs that they're outlining for areas in California, and then a draft scope of work for the project as we go into preparing the application. So right now, just would love to hear any thoughts or comments, specific needs. And then if you haven't already, if you could provide a letter of support that would be fantastic. So with that, I'd love to answer any questions or take any comments.
Any questions? Yes, Rob.
So Chris, is the mitigation bank, is it going to be for the county as a whole, or is it going to be broken down into the jurisdictions? How's that going to work?
The idea is to have the consultant study that and make recommendations.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Joanne?
So you don't have defined projects or categories of project for funding at this point?
Not yet.
Is that going to
No.
be part of the scope of work?
That's part of the scope. Yeah. To identify, what type of program and then what types of projects as well. So that's,
Is this similar in nature to like a traffic impact fee, regional or local traffic impact fee type process, but just VMT?
yeah, it's set up similarly to other type of banks and exchanges across the state. So those are the recommendations so far. And that's what other areas have been looking at. So we'd really want the consultant to help us look at that, what's been implemented already or studied already, and then look at potential projects. That's a big component as well. Those
Okay.
VMT reducing projects.
Yeah. I don't know who you sent a letter of support request to at SMART, but or if you have, but I'm happy to consider it. We're also submitting an application, but not to the technical program.
Okay. Yeah, if we haven't, I'll get one out today, a request.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay, go ahead.
Ken?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. This is exciting, and the city of Petaluma is 100% behind this. Do you have a timeline for this? And I'm just wondering if there's anything that we need to be doing, with projects that are kind of coming in now that we could help to sort of usher into this new way of approaching the development. So thanks.
Yeah, thanks for that. So as far as timeline, we'd probably be able to start work sometime next year and have something in place, hopefully by the end of 2024, early 2025. So it's a little ways out, but I guess working on your own thresholds and policies locally, and we'll be putting together a project TAC as well. So just kind of noting down issues that you're running into, right? What types of projects are having problems mitigating. I think that'd be very helpful going into the process, to get the consultants some information about that, right? Here are some examples of projects that have been difficult, right? So having some of those to look at specifically would be helpful. And then part of the scope is to have a pilot or two project as part of this. So maybe considering some of those projects for a pilot if we're able to get funding and make some progress.
Rob?
Yeah, we have projects that we're implementing or going to be implementing in the next year that would actually reduce VMT that could be considered. I'd like to get credit for that, or to get the county credit or someone credit for implementing VMT reducing projects as part of it's not a monetary piece of the bank, but it's it could be considered, I don't know, it's VMT reducing. So I'd like to get credit for those, or you take credit for that in some way. I'm wondering if that's also part of the studies, how we can do projects that get added to the bank for credit.
Yeah, I think we can definitely add that, right? And the idea is to have some of the projects that are having trouble with mitigation help fund some of those projects or get some of those other projects built. I know there are a whole lot of legal issues involved as well, but there's a question of additionality too. Whether a project would happen without the bank is tied into this somewhat as well. But yeah, we'll definitely want to get some legal opinions as well to make sure the recommendations are legally sound and in line with CEQA requirements. Yeah. But yeah, important to consider. Yeah, I'll make sure that's fleshed out in the scope.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Chris, I am assuming you're going through Healdsburg Planning Department for your letter of support, and probably everyone else here. If you're not getting response, definitely let us know and we can help that along.
Yeah, we've all received our letter from Healdsburg, so thank you for that.
Okay, with that, we will move on to item 6.1, invoicing obligation status for Measure M. Shauna?
Chair, this is the item we bring before you every month. This is just a reminder of where your status is of invoicing an obligation. If you have an open appropriation, then it'll show your invoicing status. If you have funds that are programmed in this fiscal year or in a previous fiscal year that were not obligated in that year, they carry forward and are shown on this page. And it means that you should take action.
Thank you. Onward to 6.2, the MOE reporting.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So as you all are aware, you recently went through the exercise of providing your maintenance of effort data. All that has been compiled and is shown in the attachments to today's staff report. Staff is recommending that the TAC consider recommending to the board that one jurisdiction is out of compliance and that jurisdiction have their LSR allocation reduced by the amount that they are below, it's a percentage below what their maintenance of effort baseline is. It's not very much this year, but it does affect the County of Sonoma. I'm happy to answer any questions. Anybody?
I'm wondering what the County of Sonoma would like to say about that vote.
Can I also say that this happened last year and there were 4 or 5 jurisdictions that were below their maintenance of effort baseline, and they had the TAC did make this recommendation last year. This year, only one jurisdiction is out of compliance.
Understood, but before we take a vote, I didn't know if the county had any comments.
We've recognized an accounting item. Oh, sorry, this is Janice Thompson, County of Sonoma. We've recognized an accounting. This is really on the back end accounting. We're going to fix it going forward. And I guess that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thanks, Janice. So with that, if there are no other comments, would someone care to make a motion?
Sounds like it's time to move on. I'm digging it. Thanks, everybody. Love ya.
City of Petaluma makes a motion to approve the Measure M maintenance of effort.
And the second?
I'll second. Santa Rosa, Rob.
Thank you, Ken and Rob. Anyone object? Okay, that passes unanimously with the small deduction going forward to the county for this year. Onward to item 7.1, another standing item, the inactive federal obligation list. Shauna?
Thank you. So we do this every month. It's just a reminder, and you all may have seen that there was a email from MTC this morning about the inactive obligations. So MTC is looking for a report out similar to what you are doing today or what we do on a monthly basis about all the projects that are on the inactive list that are not in the status of pending approval. Like you've submitted, if you've submitted an application or submitted an invoice and it's under consideration, then I think it's yellow on their spreadsheet and you don't have to take any action. If you are on the greater than $50,000 balance sheet, which is, I believe, the first sheet in the attachment to today's staff report, then you can, you should provide a justification to MTC. All right.
Thank you. Seeing no comments or questions. Onward, 7.2, the SCTA funding program cycle 1, which is page 55 of 67 in the packet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is just a reminder, similar to what we did last month, but this is letting all of the recipients of OBAG 3 know that there are actions to be taken. And I sent out an email similar to this. Everybody should have seen that yesterday afternoon. It's essentially those jurisdictions that were selected for OBAG 3 funding need to have a resolution of local support. You need to have a housing law self-certification, and that's another sort of resolution that goes before your council and or the board of supervisors. And then we need to have an FMS application completed and with those 2 items uploaded with the application. And you need to let me know so that we can go in and submit those for MTC's consideration, not consideration, they will process them. And then those projects will be programmed into the TIP. They cannot be programmed into the TIP until all that stuff is done. And then obviously you can't obligate your funds until it's in the TIP. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to cover those.
No, and just to clarify, Shauna, that does require an email. Just submitting it to you through FMS does not give you notice, correct?
That's correct. So and hopefully everybody has had an opportunity to take the FMS training, but in the newest version of FMS, which is the fund management system at MTC, there is a section of the application where once you're completed, you assign it to someone else for review. That would be me, unless I don't think Joanne has to go through that process because SMART is their own submitter. But be swell if you give me a little heads up, that'd be great. Obviously not required. And then if you let it, then you have to, but if once you assign it to me, I don't get any notice from the FMS program. So you have to still send me an email saying, I've completed my application. It's ready for you to look at. I'll go in, make the review. If there's anything that needs to be adjusted, I'll assign it back to you. If nothing else needs to be adjusted, I will assign it to Adam Crenshaw and then it will move forward.
Okay, anyone have any additional comments or questions? Joanne?
I did submit the TIP amendment request, Shauna. I didn't email you separately, but I haven't heard anything from them. It's been a few weeks, so I don't know. I sent them an email separately, but maybe I didn't assign it properly inside. There was somebody it was assigned to, but I may have not have actively clicked something. So I'll take a look again, but
yeah, it should be. I think you're supposed to assign it to Adam.
We have Thomas RN.
Oh, Arndt. Yeah.
Arndt,
Thomas
yeah.
Arndt. Yep.
But do you know what their turnaround time is right now, assuming I did it correctly?
I believe the TIP amendment schedule is online and I haven't looked at the most recent one, but it would, depending on when it gets submitted, I would imagine that they would want to do them in blocks. So.
But you're not getting an active response back from them on anything. Okay, just it was.
I haven't started because I haven't received. I mean, I just heard from Santa Rosa yesterday, so
okay.
I haven't actually started submitting yet.
All right, I'll be in touch with you then.
Any other questions? All right, I think this is Dana, the call for projects for TFCA.
Yes, thank you. So this is the call for projects for the Transportation Fund for Clean Air County Program Manager Fund. So this is an annual call for projects, and it is open to the jurisdictions that are within the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. So that is, Healdsburg, Cloverdale, and northwestern Sonoma County, that are in the northern Sonoma County Air District, are not eligible for this funding source. So this program funds clean air projects such as bikeways, bike parking, clean air infrastructure, infrastructure for trip reduction improvements such as traffic calming or pedestrian elements, and trip reduction programs, as well as several transit related programs. So there's two parts to the distribution. As most of you are aware of, there are portions that are set aside for the local bus transit operators, and then there is a competitive portion. So the competitive portion is open to those jurisdictions that I just mentioned in the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. There's $146,000 available this funding cycle. And if we do get, projects that are out above that amount, or multiple projects that are eligible and ready to go, we may consider programming funds for next fiscal year as well. So if you have something a little greater than that, don't be shy to apply for it, and we can see if we could accommodate through programming ahead. Project applications are due by March 20th via email to David Rickerda. And all of the application materials are available on our website and through the links in the item in your agenda packet. Project sponsors are required to do recording once a year, and then within the 6 months after projects close out. So just let me know if you have any questions on the call for projects or on the program.
Looks like we don't have any. Scott, Craig?
I got one. Are sidewalks eligible? I didn't see it on the list.
Yeah, so that would should be under the infrastructure improvements for trip reduction. So that's could include physical improvements that are identified in an approved plan. So if you have those sidewalk improvements in a plan, and it's kind of meets the thresholds of pollution reduction for that category, it would be eligible.
Thanks.
Nobody else? All right, we're flying today. I don't know if Shauna has another appointment that we're rushing for. Item 8, the upcoming board meeting of March 13th. It's not in the packet. Is there anything SCTA would like to discuss about that?
Just that the MOE is not going this month. It will go to the CAC this month, but it won't go to the board until April. So there are a couple of other things on the agenda. We've got, I believe there is a resolution of local support for the Hearn Avenue Interchange Project and also for the Safe Routes to Schools project program, really. But I don't have anything else. I believe the TFCA call for projects is probably on the agenda as well.
I would share it, but unfortunately it's not ready.
That's fine. Thank you. That was always helpful. Item 9, roundtable discussion, grants being pursued, bid environment, any other business comments, announcements?
So, Mr. Chair, there are a couple of grant program calls for projects included in the agenda packet that I'd like to draw everybody's attention to. So before we get on to the roundtable. And then if I might, I would like to introduce the newest member of our staff. Catherine Stubbs has joined us in the Office of Planning. So I want to make sure that everybody knows who she is and that she's with us also.
Well, great. Welcome, Catherine. And congratulations, Chris. Catherine says, hi, everyone. Great to be here. The grants, Shauna, you want to
Just
that or
so
just
there's
enter in the packet?
Yeah, they're in the packet. It's an they're informational items. I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware that there were announcements in the packet to look at.
Gotcha. And I have a question for the group. Has anyone applied for the Clean California grant? No. I don't know why. I'm not either. Plate is full.
We considered it last year, but it was heavily weighted towards like art projects and disadvantaged communities, and we just couldn't find a good match. But it looks like a good grant if you could pull something together that really like spruces up a section of your city that needs it, but also has infrastructure implications.
Yep. All right, any other comments? No one has anything?
I'd like to introduce Alexander Osigera. He's our new active transportation planner. He's sitting on the meeting today too.
Welcome again, Alexander. I wasn't quite sure if you were new a face or not, so great to have you. You want to say hi to the group?
Yeah, you know, I'm excited in my new role and glad to be working with you all. I've actually been working with the city for 14 years, so I have a bit of experience. I was in traffic engineering for 3 years before I stepped into this role.
Well, congratulations. And are you going to be a regular attender of this meeting?
I believe so.
Does that mean we're losing Rob?
I don't think
Not
so.
yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
We gotta backfill Nancy's position before Rob can get out of these meetings, I think.
Gotcha. All right, nothing else?
Elizabeth has
Yeah,
her.
sorry, Elizabeth, didn't see you up there.
Oh, thanks, Larry. Something to share with the group. Sonoma County Regional Parks has prepared a draft county trail class 1 bike path entry exit design alternative. We're working with W-Trans. We've already spoken with Santa Rosa and TPW. It's in draft stage. We'd like to share this with all of you and get your honest feedback on this plan because this could be a resource for all of us and the region. So we'll be sending that out probably in about a week or so to all of you.
Well, that's great, Elizabeth. Looking forward to seeing that.
Elizabeth, is that spurred by the whole bollard issue? Is that how that came to be?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
send it quick because we're getting close to removing some of our bollards. So hopefully not doing anything different than you are.
Right. We'll get this out to you soon.
Joanne?
Just wanted to, it's kind of all been a blur, but I don't think we've had a meeting since we received notice of a bunch of money. So just wanted to clarify for people that we're going to Healdsburg. I'm coming your way, Larry. There's been some really good board presentations. If you guys ever want to watch any of our board, there was a summary of our outreach on extensions that had a lot of discussion about Cloverdale in it at our last board meeting. But the way it stands right now, we have about 118 million identified for Windsor and Healdsburg extension and 113 million in pending applications that we'll know about through June. The Caltrans is in process in submitting some requests to the Federal Railroad Administration to make our corridor be under consideration for potential future funding as an intercity corridor, particularly on the east-west configuration between Novato and Suisun. So that gets us off. It's a FRA thing that's the equivalent of what the Federal Transit Administration's Small Starts, New Starts program is. So we're headed off into this process with Caltrans as the lead. So I want to let you know that. And then we have a couple of other things that are FRA specific that we're working on for Cloverdale, potentially. So I'm always available if you have questions.
Thanks, Joanne. Yeah, that's exciting news. The graphic that you guys did with the little puzzle pieces in your funding, I thought was great for the general public.
Thank you. And not to, we're also doing a ton of pathway construction over the next 3 years. So, and Petaluma North. So be kind to Bill Gamlin's team. There's only a couple of them. They'll be really busy along a very long stretch of corridor. So.
The honorable representative from the city of Cotati may speak.
Thanks, Larry. Yeah, just a public service announcement, sort of. If for those heading through Cotati, our illustrious city, we have 2 major roadway rehab projects going on, probably starting in about mid-March. So West Sierra Avenue will be milled and overlaid. That's part of the Quick Strike program. And that includes the inner hub. The La Plaza streets are being rehabilitated as well. And then we've got Myrtle Avenue and the residential streets to the south of there. So that whole sort of middle of Cotati is going, you can expect traffic delays over from about mid-March through mid-April or so.
Well, have fun taking those phone calls.
Yes.
Steve.
Yeah, just another heads up. Craig kind of shined the light open here too for us. Is if you were driving around Sonoma County this last year, you saw all kinds of yellow stuff going around, dropping all kinds of black stuff down on the roads and putting some pretty paint on top of it all. And we're going to do it all again this next summer. Project's about the same size. We'll probably have the roads posted, our regular PPP, which is about our engineer's estimate right now is about 20 million. And then we have some PG&E settlement money that we're putting out for Hunter. Remind me, we're about what, 15 million, 14 million engineer's estimate. So
yeah,
if you're out there messing around in the county and the unincorporated area, there's a good chance you'll hit a traffic stop, and you can grouse and yell how long it takes you to get through the project. Please be patient.
I think most of the people in this room are just happy and impressed with how much asphalt you guys have put down in these last couple of years.
It's been pretty incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very noticeable. It's awesome. Ken?
Thank you, Chair. So North McDowell for the next year and a half is going to be fairly messy. We're going to be doing the reconstruction from Sunrise Parkway to Old Redwood Highway till the end of the year. That work will be going on, but then right now we also, PG&E is doing work over the next 3 or so months on their gas transmission lines. And then SMART will be going in there with the multi-use path and the new station for the Petaluma Boulevard, the Petaluma North Station. So a lot of work on that. We just got bids last week for Garfield, a connector roadway, roughly 1.5 miles. The bids were lower than the engineer's estimate. Gelati Brothers got it at just under 3 million. The engineer's estimate was 3.34 million. We had 4 other contractors for a total of 5 contractors that bid on that work. And then Maria Drive is going to be going, that'll be going out to bid within roughly 3 months. And we also have traffic circles that we're going to be putting in a more permanent condition. We have a pilot, but that's going to be going in. And then there's various active transportation work, Bike Boulevard on 5th Street, and other sort of quick build bulb outs that are being implemented. So That's all, Chair Zimmer. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate the update.
Hey, Ken, can you elaborate on the reconstruction on McDowell? What are you guys doing there?
It's a CCRP that'll be going in similar to Sonoma Mountain Parkway that was done. And it's, you know, do you want all the details? I can
No,
send you
I just
yeah.
wonder if it's a complete tear out and redo.
It is.
Place
It
recycling,
is.
right?
Yeah, the challenge on North McDowell is the gas transmission lines, the main ones that go to Willits, 12-inch, 15-inch. There's issues with how deep the structural section can go, and so that was a factor in the what was selected for the final remedy. But it is full reconstruction.
Yeah, so the treatment is a cold recycle.
Yes. Cold recycle, and it's got the intersections are probably going to have to go HMA, or are going HMA, I should say, and then we're coordinating with Smart, Bill Gamlin's crew on that to tie in with the work that they're doing, and we're doing interconnectivity on all the signals along North McDowell, along with the rail signals. So a lot of exciting work. So, but just avoid North McDowell for the next year and a half, 2 years, maybe. So
We'll tell all the local businesses that you said that.
I amazingly enough, I'm not getting a lot of complaints. I used to get complaints about North McDowell, when you're going to fix it. And I don't get, and I've got a handful of compliments. We're so glad you're putting in sidewalks. We love the project. It's almost like people are like so happy to see it being redone. They don't care about the traffic impact. So there's a recommendation. Just wait for the road to totally, go south on you. And then people will love it when you start rebuilding it. So.
Well, we can't wait till the ticker tape parade shows you on the back of a 65 Mustang or something like that, Ken.
Ken, how many of those quick build bulb outs are you doing?
We've got probably 5 kind of in the works, and we're doing them, some of them in-house, some of them, we're running thermo on and putting them in. Traffic circles, that I just got the bids back on that. I've got a contractor lined up to do 3 of those. There's one in specific, but there's a lot of public sentiment in moving those type of projects forward. And so we're trying to find the easiest contractual way and the most efficient way of being able to do that work quickly. So in-house, also with contractors, typically smaller under $30,000 contracts. So. And I'll just put out there, if anybody wants a template for the traffic circles, I can certainly send that to the group. So.
Thank you, Ken. Anyone else? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned at 2:14. See you all in a month.
In person.
Oh, that's right. In person. We'll see you.